France are through to the 2026 FIFA World Cup semi-finals for the third consecutive time after a commanding 2-0 victory over Morocco. Goals from Kylian Mbappé and Ousmane Dembélé secured Le Bleu place in the last four, continuing their impressive march towards the third World Cup title. Morocco once again showed resilience and determination, but they couldn't stop an unstoppable French side. And also, we're going to preview the another quarterfinal match between Spain and Belgium, as Spain look to reach the first World Cup semifinals since 2010, which is the same year they won the World Cup.
Running a website sounds easy until you are dealing with blogs, pages, events, and about 10 different tabs open at the same time. That's why today's episode is sponsored by Odoo. Odoo lets you build your website, manage blogs, create events, and basically run everything in one place instead of switching between 5 different platforms. Honestly, it makes the whole process way smoother. If you are thinking about building your own website, blog, or project, check out Odoo using the link in the description below. If you want to start building your own website or brand online, you can check out Odoo in the description below and get started for yourself.
Now, don't forget, guys, to like, share, subscribe for the new episode of the football show. Also, don't forget, guys, to, like I said before, and I'll say it again, fill your forms, book your registration if you want to come to the watch party for the World Cup watch party, World Cup final in 19th of July, which is going to be in 9 days, which is basically next week. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and let's get forms, book your registration if you want to come to the watch party for the World Cup watch party, World Cup final in 19th of July, which is going to be in 9 days, which is basically next week. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and let's get started as France beat Morocco once again in a do or die match in the World Cup. Goals from Kylian Mbappé and Ousmane Dembélé, and Le Bleu are through to the semi-finals once again of the World Cup. Congratulations to France. You have to say they deserve to win. They were the better team by far. The chances they created, how dominant they were in front of the goal, and especially even like you can feel it. Even in the first 2, 3, 4 minutes, they could have scored. They had two chances we could have scored, but Bono did a fantastic job making the saves actually for the whole game. He saved the penalty from Kylian Mbappé because, especially that was after a long wait. I mean, I think it was quite strange between the moment the referee gave the penalty and then the moment Mbappe took it. That it was strange that was a bit there was a big wait for it. But maybe because if you look to the people of course trying to look for conspiracy theories, but if you look to the referee, maybe the referee was looking like towards the people maybe who, like, let's say went on the line, like the players from Morocco. So maybe he was, yes, you might criticize the referee, and yes, the weight was too much. But at the same time, I do understand why, because the referee was trying to make sure the players are outside the box, not inside the box. Even though the wait was too long, I did still expect Kylian Mbappe, with his experience, with the quality that he has, and he's shown in the past and he's showing right now, to cope with it. But even the best players can miss penalties. He missed the penalty. Great save from Bono, but the stutter was, I have to say that was not much needed from Mbappe. Messi also did the same thing against Egypt. I mean, even the best players can miss penalties. Even the best players can miss penalties, but after that they can recover at any point. Mbappe showed that in this game he recovered. He didn't let the penalty miss like affect him that badly, and that's because of that. Obviously, with his quality, with his experience, and Mbappe showed that he can deal with adversity, especially in the last game where a lot of Paraguayan players were trying to provoke him. He coped with it fantastically well. In this game, he missed the penalty. He had to deal with adversity, and he dealt with it again fantastically. And look at how he performed in the second half. So not obviously you can praise Mbappe for his amazing qualities, and he's an unbelievable player, and obviously he's the Mr. World Cup with the way he's performed this 3 World Cups, scoring 20 goals. But what I'm also one of the most important things that you have to look for a phenomenal player, one of the best players in the world, is how they cope with difficulties, how they deal with adversities. And the best players in the world, like Kylian Mbappe, they deal with adversities, even though they have difficult situations going against them. And Mbappe dealt with it fantastically in the second half. He scored a fantastic goal. Um, assist from Desire Due. There was a suggestion that maybe in the build up to the goal that maybe it should have been handball. Um, yeah, I think this is something something the VR should have looked at it. Should have told the referee to look at the monitor and look at it. I think maybe that should have been a foul in the build up for the handball. Um, but at the same time, even if listen, of course, this kind of things can change the game. But even if that handball, if that was a handball and it was the Salah, I think France would have still went on to win the game because they were much better team. They had a lot of chances, and Morocco, I don't think they are like approached or challenged France enough defensively, in my opinion. Except after they conceded the second goal, that's when they started to challenge. But I don't think Morocco generally for the whole game they showed enough attacking threats, in my opinion. I felt like they were too defensive. And I said before the game, is Mohamed Awahabi going to go for it, or is he going to defend and play counter attack and have chances and when you have the ball, try to attack with purpose? They defended, but they didn't defend. They defended, but not with much purpose. They did it with purpose, but after the second goal, which was too little, too late. But when it was like 0-0, 1-0, they didn't show enough attacking threats. But you also have to give credit to France because they made Morocco like this. They made them look like fools, basically. Where defensively they were strong. Yes, they could see some chances towards the end where Magnan had to make some good saves, but defensively I thought France were very strong. Going forward, of course, the quality that they have is absolutely unbelievable with Mbappé. And Mbappé, once again, he's like I said, he stepped up. Fantastic goal. He also assisted for the second goal for Ousmane Dembélé. Maybe Bono should have done better for the second goal, but again, you can't criticize Bono because he had a fantastic game. Dembélé stepped up once again. That's what his fifth World Cup goal. Mbappé scored 8 goals in the World Cup, the same as Lionel Messi this in this World Cup. Kylian Mbappé is now 1 goal behind Lionel Messi for the all-time goal scorer. And you have to say, like Kylian Mbappe, again, he continues his level of greatness. He continues the level of amazing performances. He keeps delivering, and he showed once again in this game, and actually for the whole World Cup, that not only he can score goals, he can also assist. He did it for the second goal, and he scored for the first goal. Fantastic goal. And France should have. You have to say, France should have won this game by 5 or 6. Like the chances they had, especially when Mateta came on for Mbappe. By the way, Mbappe, when listen, he was okay at the end. He had something in his ankle, but he said that he was okay, which is good to hear for France fans' sake, in case he plays for the semi-final. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure at some point he might have substituted himself out. No, I'm joking. But and yeah, like he might have substituted himself out with obviously with the whole dictator allegations. But I'm joking. Um,
Also, quick shout out to Odoo for sponsoring today's episode. I was literally updating the site earlier, and the blog event setup is ridiculously easy to use. Links below if you want to check it out. Anyway, back to the show.
But yeah, you have to say he performed fantastically well. And Mbappe, like I said, France should have won by more. Mateta had a lot of couple of good chances to score, but Bono made some very good saves. I mean, France, they're a joke. The squad depth, like I said it a million of times, but again, I say it again. The squad depth is a joke. They can bring in Mateta, they can bring in Barcola, they can bring in Xhaka. It's absolutely incredible. Even though when they've got Mbappe, Elise, Ousmane Dembele, and Desire Due. So the squad depth was what they showed in this game that once again it's terrifying. And Ulise and Desire did it. Sorry, someone wanted to speak to me, but anyway, Desire do a brilliant performance for him once again. Everybody in the attack for France was very good. Obviously, France they could have made it more easier for themselves if they were more clinical in front of goal. With the chances they had so many chances, but you also have to give credit to Bono because he made a lot of fantastic saves in the first half and the second half, particularly the penalty save from Kylian Mbappe. So yeah, but France they deserve to win. They fully deserve to win. They play the Deschamps put Rabiot and Kune the midfielder. I thought both of them, particularly Rabiot, I thought he was very good. An attack they had was absolutely amazing. They were fantastic, and defensively they were rock solid mostly, except last 15-20 minutes where they could see some chances, and Morocco started to have some chances. But generally, France deserve to win. They should have won by more. Kylian Mbappe stepped up once again. Another Another fantastic performance, another goal contribution in every single match in the World Cup. And yeah, brilliant performance from Mbappe. And like I said, even though when he had the circumstances or the difficulty of missing the penalty, he dealt with it fantastically well. He didn't let it like affect him, and he showed that with his performance and with his contribution for the both goals in the for France. So fantastic from Kylian Mbappe. Dembele stepped up once again. I mean, obviously Dembele is not the best player for France, but he showed that he can step up. He scored a hat trick against Norway, even though you could say it's Norway's B team. He scored against Iraq, and now he scored against Morocco, against a very good Morocco side in the World Cup quarterfinal. So yeah, the attack of France is cooking and cooking and cooking and cooking and cooking. They keep cooking, cooking, cooking forever. And they'll try to cook again against Spain or Belgium in the semi-final, and they'll try to cook in the final if they go through. So yeah, after this win, France will play two more games in the World Cup. But they would prefer, of course, World Cup games that will be semi-final and final, and not semi-final and third place playoff. But yeah, very good performance from France. I mean, of course, there's some things maybe they could have improved, especially defensively. I know they kept a clean sheet. I know there was January that was very, very good, but I think towards the end they could see some chances. Magnin had to make very good saves. I mean, there was some, like I said, criticism about him, but he made fantastic saves and he showed that he can step up for France when they need them. So yeah, defensively they were strong. Saliba was fantastic. Upamecano, he had a scary moment where he could have scored an own goal, but generally I thought he was quite good. So it was a fantastic performance from France, and they showed once again they're a fantastic contender to win the World Cup with how well they performed, how well they dominated the game, and how well they deserve to win. And Mbappe, like I said, the attack stepped up once again. Belgium or Spain, be careful of the attack of France because they're coming. They're coming for you. They came for everybody so far, and they're coming for you in the semi-final. So be careful, whoever that team will face against France, whether that will be Belgium or Spain. Um, but yeah, um, like I said, great performance. Deschamps, I mean, that's his third World Cup semi-final as the manager. He obviously won the World Cup as a player, and of course, not only as a manager, he also won the World Cup as a player. He won the World Cup twice, once as a player, once as a manager, and he'd be hoping to win his second World Cup as a manager and his third World Cup in his life. So in football, basically. So yeah, great, very good win for France. As for Morocco, I mean, they set up like in a quite defensive way, in my opinion. I don't think they attacked enough France. I don't think they tested France enough in the attack, except like I said, the 15-20 minutes where they were losing already 2-0. Um, like I said, it was already too little, too late. And I think when you listen, it's okay to defend. Listen, France were dominating in the first half, but they didn't score. And you think like, okay, Morocco's still in the game. This is still 0-0. They can gain confidence for it, and they think like, okay, they didn't score. Even they were dominating us, we can still beat them in the second half. But they never took advantage of that, having that kind of feeling, because France kept dominating, and they scored the two goals. And yes, yeah, Moroccan. I've heard Moroccan fans and some Moroccan. One of the, I think Mohamed Wahbi said that maybe there should have been handball in the build-up towards the goal. And yes, I mean, I do understand maybe that should have been a set off for the goal, for the handball. But at the same time, you can't really say that, you only lost this game because of a refereeing decision. You also have to look at what you could have done better. And I think similar to what I said for the Egypt game against Argentina, and obviously Egypt is my country, and I support Egypt. Even though I support Egypt, I said that even though the referee was not that good, we have to also look at what we could have done better. And this is a similar case also for Morocco. They have to think what they could have done better, especially they didn't test enough France, like I said, for 75, 80 minutes. And yeah, and yet obviously, especially they didn't attack enough France, and they kept seeing chances after chances after chances. And yes, Bono had a fantastic game. He made a lot of great saves. I think he made his fourth penalty save in the World Cup, which is absolutely fantastic. But again, you can't keep relying on the goalkeeper to save you all the time. You also have to show some penetration in attack, and I don't think Morocco showed enough that penetration to test France enough, in my opinion. So yeah, I think Morocco, yes, they can have complaint on that goal. That goal allowed in the first one, but again, you also have to look at and say that why did you wait for 75, 80 minutes? Why did you wait that long? Why did you wait for you to go 2-0 down to start creating some good chances, to start causing problems, starting testing France in attack? So yeah, listen, I understand why Mohamed Wahbi is approached to be defensive. It's okay, it's fine, but you also have to show penetration attack. It's a bit like Paraguay, like two teams who played against France. They were defensive. They were defensive, but they didn't show enough purpose in attack. They didn't show enough purpose in attack. Like, okay, you can't sit back against the France. You can't sit back. You can't make it difficult. You can't frustrate them. You can't have a fantastic goalkeeper like Bono was. You can't, and the Paraguayan goalkeeper, but Guerrero. But you also need to have a penetration attack. You need to also have purpose in attack. You need to create chances. You need to have a plan in attack. You need to try to create chances, because in case if you concede a goal, if you concede a goal, because not if you defend for 90 minutes, you keep defending for 90 minutes, of course at some point you're going to concede the goal, because it's not sustainable. If you plan to do something in tag and you create chances, then it would make yourself more easier, instead of defending. No, that doesn't work, especially against top teams like France, and especially Morocco. Though some stages of the game they were time wasting as well, and I think that kind of motivated France, especially when France came earlier to the second half and Morocco waited, I don't know, like 3-5 minutes to come back to the second half. So maybe there was a bit of mind games there from both sides. But anyway, France, they deserve to win. It was a very very good win, and yeah, they deserve to win. Especially they created a lot of chances. Ulisse, I don't think he had his best game, in my opinion, but he was also making something happen. In terms of creating and contributing. But and obviously, like I said, Mbappé, Dembélé delivered once again. Um, do I think? Who do you think if France win the World Cup? Who do I think will win the Ballon d'Or, Dembele or Mbappe? I think it's Dembele, because Dembele won the World Cup, would have won the World Cup, sorry, and he would have won the Champions League. Let's not forget he was a key player for Paris Saint Germain, and he's been one of the key players for France. Not obviously the most key player, because obviously the most key player for France is of course it's uh, 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 um, the best player, I should say, because the MVP is obviously my most important player is Michael Olise, because he's a creator. But the best player is Kylian Mbappe, whereas Dembele was the best player for PSG. However, you could say Dembele, even though he's not the best player, he was one of France's best players, because he scored a couple of goals. He scored 5 goals. Um, so yeah, I think if France win the World Cup, I think Dembele will win the Ballon d'Or, because he won those two big trophies, Champions League and the World Cup, and he contributed to those competitions, winning those competitions for both teams, France and Paris Saint Germain. However, if Mbappe does something crazy like he did in the World Cup 2022 World Cup final, and scoring in the World Cup final in let's say France win the World Cup and Mbappe scores, let's say, the winning goals against Spain, and he scores, let's say, a hat trick in a World Cup final, which he can easily do, if I'm being very honest, because he's that good. Then I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that he will win the World Cup if he scores the winning goal in the World Cup semi final and he scores a hat trick in the World Cup final, and France win the World Cup. Because the only thing that's denying him, of course, from winning the Ballon d'Or is that he didn't win a trophy with Real Madrid. That's the thing that stops him from winning the Ballon d'Or. But if he keeps delivering, if he wins France the World Cup, is he the greatest French player of all time? Maybe, maybe. Yes, Zidane, of course, he was an unbelievable player for France, and Zizou he was a magic. Like everybody loved watching him when they were kids, and obviously it was painful to see him the way it ended at the end for the World Cup final, where obviously he had butted Materazzi, but before that he obviously made a great chip for the out of Buffon for that goal, and he carried France to the final. Let's be honest, in that year. But at the same time, You've got Palatini, of course, but yeah, you also have to say Kylian Mbappe. If he wins another World Cup for France and he continues to deliver and he continues scoring big goals and he scores a hat trick, I know it's a big if, but he did it before. Why can't he do it again? I know, sir. I know people will think like, oh, no, man, no, mate. What are you talking about? This is not PlayStation. But Kylian Mbappe, when the way he's seen play, he looks like a PlayStation player. But yeah, like I think, yeah, I think you could make an argument he's the best French player of all time. If France win the World Cup and he delivers once again in semi-finals and finals, I think you can make a strong case for it because he would have won France 2 World Cups, by the way, 2 World Cups. I don't think Zidane won. Zidane won, of course, Zidane won France the World Cup, 1998. He won for them the World Cup 1918, and he carried them to the final, 2006. But you could also make a similar case for Kylian Mbappe. He also saved France from like a basically humiliation in the final. He was also their best player in the World Cup 2022 when France were not that great in the World Cup 2022, but they reached the final. He also obviously was fantastic when he was 18, 19 years old, and he won the World Cup for them and scored a World Cup final. And if he wins another World Cup, 2 World Cups, and he carried France to the final, and he scored a hat trick World Cup final, I think you might have to put him above Zidane and Platini and say he is the greatest French player of all time. I have to say it. So and he could play in a he could play in another World Cup. He will play in 2030 World Cup, and he could play even 2034 because he's really that good. He's that good. Like the guy's a machine. This guy is a machine. But also when you also not only that he's a machine in terms of goal scoring wise, but also you need a team around him that supports him, that backs him, that sees him as the number one, and Mbappe sees himself as the number one because just like I said before the game, Mbappe when he plays better for France than Real Madrid is that when he shows better leadership, for France he shows better leadership skills and he assists more for France. Especially if you look at this World Cup, I don't think France he assisted that. I don't think for Real Madrid he assisted that many times. Listen, he scores a lot of goals, and of course, not the big problems are not on his side mostly because he's doing his job. But at the same time, I feel like the when he plays better for why he plays better for France than for Real Madrid is because he sees himself and his teammates see himself as the number one, and he's the captain, by the way. Whereas Real Madrid is a little bit different, as I said before the match. But again, he delivered once again, and I'm interested to see what he's going to do in the World Cup semi-final final because hopefully he's not going to play against England. Hopefully, because if he plays against England in the final, oh my god, the guy is gonna destroy England. That's for sure. World Cup final, Kylian Mbappe, the way he did in the World Cup 2018 and 2022 World Cup final against England, nightmare, nightmare. But obviously, let's forget England for a second. Um, but Mbappe, what a brilliant performance! What a brilliant performance from France, and they could have won by more. So yeah. Um, and they'll face against Spain or Belgium in the semi-finals. Who would they would prefer? Yeah, that's an interesting question. That one. No, it's not an interesting question. Of course, I would prefer Belgium. Spain are a fantastic team. Spain beat them in the Euros semi-final 2024. I believe they also beat Spain last year in Nations League. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, but I think they might have beaten them. I think they might have beaten them in the Nations League semi-final, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but yeah, like Spain, they're a team that they showed that they can beat France like they did in the past. So I think the only team that you could say you say that could stop France from winning the World Cup is for sure Spain, because these two teams, like I said before, they look like a World Cup winning teams. Other teams, I'm not convinced. Argentina, I'm not convinced they look like a World Cup winning team. I'm not convinced England they do look like a World Cup winning team. I'm not convinced Switzerland or Norway have done really well, but I'm not convinced they're going to win the World Cup, or Belgium. The two teams who I'm convinced they look like a World Cup winning team, and they have the tools to win the World Cup, and they've shown why they're a proper team that can win the World Cup is Spain and France. With how well they played, how strong they've been defensively, especially Spain, they haven't conceded a goal, and how well they can be going for, and the two play fantastic football. So, yeah, I think of course France are going to prefer Black as a Belgium, because obviously France will be heavy favorites against Belgium. But if they play against Spain, to be 50-50, and especially it's going to be interesting to see how Deschamps approaches this game. Will he go defensive like he did in the Euro 2024, especially in that semi-final, or will, of course, he continue the flourishing attack and the quality and the talent that he has in his squad and his play and his team, and let them flourish like he's done so far in this tournament? So it's going to be interesting to see whether Deschamps is going to adapt in the semi-final or not. But at some point, I'm pretty sure France are going to have to adapt for sure. But of course, they have qualities in attack that they're going to have to obviously maximize it, because the attack is absolutely amazing and that can punish absolutely anybody. So yeah, but Spain are a very very good team. So if they face each other in the semi-final, that will be a very very good game. But for Morocco, I mean, yeah, unfortunately they're out in the semi-finals of the World Cup. They're out in the quarterfinals of the World Cup last two occasions, both of them by the same team, France. But I think if Morocco keep improve, felt like I said before, I think maybe they didn't show enough attacking threats in attack. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure they can be proud of again reaching and showing that why they can still be competitive in the best top 8 teams, top 16 teams in the World Cup. And especially you look at the Moroccan fans after the game, they said like, "Oh yeah, we qualified for the quarterfinals, but it's not a miracle. We want to do it again. We want more." And that sums up the standards of Moroccan football has risen a lot. They want more. Quarterfinals and semifinals is not enough. They want to do more. They want to get better in the future, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do better in the future. Especially they are one of the hosts for the World Cup 2030. That could help them to become even one of the big contenders to win the World Cup in that year. But at the same time, they also going to have to keep improving, because obviously they won the last Afcon. Even though you want to maybe question the circumstances, they won the last Afcon, so they would want to do it again. And they would also like to do really well in the World Cup at this time, even reach the final or win it, which they haven't done in the last two World Cups. So because the standards of Morocco have has risen right now, and especially when you raise that kind of standards of reaching quarterfinals and semifinals of the World Cup, you are expected to maintain it. You cannot go below it. When you set a level, when you set a benchmark, people will put expectations on you to not go below it, and that's what Morocco have to do in next 4 years, particularly in the World Cup of 2030. And they're gonna have to keep improving for sure, especially if they want to do a better World Cup, like than the last two times, and also even win it. I mean, they can. They are one of the hosts. Why can't they win it? So yeah. Um, but yeah, congratulations to France and commiserations to Morocco.